Hello, everybody. Welcome to our first episode of Panel Pals, a show
Yeah.
where me and not always Maple Milk, but sometimes Maple Milk, we're going to get together and talk about little manga we read and enjoy and
Mhm.
talk about.
Mhm.
It's going to be fun. Our first episode 1, is going to be over Love Plus Kanojo no Kako, which is translated as Rinko's backstory, effectively. I guess before we jump into this, Maple, what's your relationship with dating sims and Love Plus specifically?
Mhm. So with me, dating sims, like I like visual novels of substantial amount, right?
Yeah.
But dating sims are a strange blind spot because like I have a very passionate relationship with like the idea of dating sims because the traditional dating sim, like the ones that'd be on like Super Nintendo in Japan, like those aren't usually translated. It's mostly like the visual novel,
Oh, are you
and I
talking about like Tokimeki?
yeah, Tokimeki Memorial, like
Mm-hmm.
stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that, right? Like the stuff that is a simulator and it's like hardcore, like, oh yeah, I forgot to talk to her today, I lose 10 points.
Oh yeah, it's very like RPG stats instead of
Yeah.
like a just a standard visual novel, I suppose. No, I love
The closest
that.
thing we have to that right now is like Princess Maker, honestly. It's most people play in general, right?
Yeah, I'd say it's Persona, right? Like the life
Mm.
sim, social sim elements of Persona, where you got to like raise up your stats and get like affinity points with your party members and whatnot during the school segments, is what
Oh
I'd
yeah.
compare it to.
There's also the fact that like dating's like visual novels and dating sim, like visual novels as a catch-all term in general are just beginning to reach the point where they're like considered a valid genre. Of course they've been integrated into like Japanese game production into for years and indie game production for years, but like you know we're at the point where like we're flooded with like parody games. I've already talked to you about this, but I'm like, oh, there's too many parodies. We need more genuine dating sims, some more genuine visual novels. There's a lot of good visual novels out there, but dating sims, like people don't take it seriously. So honestly, I haven't checked out Love Plus. The only one I've checked out is like the fucking Rei Ayanami version for some
Oh, the
reason.
Rei Ayanami
Um,
Raising Project.
yeah, I played that one time, and it was like I was like confused because like, oh, this is like yeah, it's a dating sim. I forgot. But otherwise, I mean, yeah, I don't have much experience with the Love Plus franchise. This is my first exposure.
Yeah, well, I think this is a pretty good entry point all around, given that it's a prequel. So you're primed and ready to jump into the original Nintendo DS game whenever you feel like it. You're
A
equipped.
Love Plus dating universe.
Yeah, the cinematic Konami universe.
Thank God.
With collaborations of Castlevania and Metal Gear Solid and all that.
It's Snatcher. Don't forget
And
Snatcher.
Snatcher, yeah, can't forget Snatcher. But
So,
yep, I
well, before
guess.
we get to it,
Hmm.
what's yours relationship? Yeah, we have to ask you.
Oh, all right. I wrote a fine little bullet point all about this.
Ooh.
Uh, I figure inevitably we're going to be talking about the game a ton, but obviously I don't want to make that the main focus. I would like to review it just as a manga on its own.
Mm.
But my relationship with Love Plus, the DS game, is it's really good. Uh, I've played a handful of dating sims before this, I want to say, but Love Plus is probably my favorite because I love the social elements behind it. I love the stats growth, all the little gameplay mechanics. The fact that it is kind of like an open world where you get to plan out your day and kind of run around town, do whatever the heck you want
So it
is
is Persona.
it is kind of like Persona if it was just the social sim elements and you weren't like doing
Wow.
RPG battles uh
No!
all the
Oh
time.
man, deal breaker.
Oh, yeah, it's a deal breaker, huh?
Yeah.
I want to
Okay.
say I first got into it like 2020, 2021.
Mm.
It was through a fan translation, so I had to physically like patch the ROM and I ran it off my phone, which was really cool because the dual screen aspect is very important to this game in particular. It's not so
Right.
much important with other DS games, but they really utilize both screen elements.
Wait, was it vertical or clamshell, like the side horizontal?
Oh, you play the game on its side. Because I
Mm.
think if I recall correctly, uh, you use like the little touch screen is like your primary view. I think that's like where you're talking to the girl and seeing them and all of that. And over on your side screen is where all your stats are. And other like information. It's where your menu is.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, so it's a little bit unique in that regard. So it made it very convenient to play on like a phone, for example, and it's a little bit unique because there is real time mechanics to Love Plus, especially once you get to end game, meaning like you're expected to check in on like your
Oh.
girl or whatever throughout different points in the day. And whenever you do that, they'll be up to different stuff. Like, oh, they'll be like at home or they're out walking around, yada yada. It's
Oh, it
very
is
in
love
depth.
plus. It is love plus. Not love minus, not love equals. It's love plus.
The game really doesn't get started until you like reach the end credits. Honestly, like that's when it gets going,
The
which is
one
really
piece of
funny.
games.
But anywho, we should talk about the actual manga.
Mm.
So, the manga is about Rinko. She is one of the three main girls of the game that you can explore routes through. It takes place, I want to say, about like a year before the events of the game. So she's in middle school or just graduated middle school and is preparing to get into high school. Uh, and she looks a little bit different. She's got like longer hair. She's a little bit more happy-go-lucky, I suppose. What else? What else?
I mean, like between the two versions of her, I mean, I guess like the because the one that shows up in the game is the later version of her, right?
Yeah, where she has like the shorter hair.
Okay, so yeah, she's like she refers to herself in the third person, at least from the translation I saw.
Yes, that's what I read too. That's one of her many little quirks. She's a very interesting character, I'd say. She's got a lot of depth and fun elements going on with her. She's very much a nerd, rock star, gamer type.
Mhm. Yeah, you see like so many scenes of her like beating a fighting game with no difficulty.
Oh yeah, just effortlessly dominating.
What fighting game do you think she plays? I thought it was like Tekken or something.
To me, it looked like King of Fighter was like the game she was
Ooh.
playing.
Yeah,
But
they did have scantily clad clothing.
yeah, that's what made me think that. And it's like, oh, the like character she's playing as is like kind of normal anime girl proportions, so it's probably not like Street Fighter or anything.
That's true. That's true.
So I settled on King of Fighters is probably her thing, but honestly, she probably plays it all.
She was in that game, that giant capital game store for a while.
Man, it would be really cool to see Rinko as like a Mugen sprite or something.
Given the fact that Mugen has every character ever created, there probably is someone who at least tried it.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, like all the clan ad characters are in fighting games, so whatever.
They just be putting people in there. I swear to God.
I'd say for this little prequel manga, it is a pretty good companion piece to the DS game. Obviously, right? It was made specifically to promote the release of the DS game, so it's a lot of setup and build up for emotional payoffs that happen whenever you get around to playing the game. So
Mm.
that's really cool. But I would say it is still very enjoyable just as a standalone thing.
Because
Uh,
we come from different perspectives here.
yeah, like what do you think on this, Maple?
Because I mean, yeah, I thought like there is so basically, right? My whole thing about it is that I'm coming with the idea that I have not consumed anything Love Plus related. The only thing I know about Love Plus is that a guy tried to marry his DS. That's the only thing I know about Love Plus, right?
Yes. That's so
So
funny.
I all I know is that Rinko Kobayakawa is a new character that's introduced to me, right? So the main thing that stood out to me, I wrote a few notes, only like 5 notes down. I just read
Mhm.
this in the library today. We decided on this like just now. Basically, it felt strange. Like there was a couple things I wrote down. The main thing I noticed was that firstly, the art felt a little old. Like in terms of style, it felt like '90s manga to me. I don't know why. Did you ever see
Oh,
that?
I got like some hints of that. Yeah, especially I think like in the final chapter specifically, there was this 1 2 page spread that very much gave me like 90s like shoujo manga sort of art style.
Yeah. It wasn't bad. It was just kind of just like I was expecting. It was just like, this came out around like mid 2000. So it's like I don't know. There's also a part near the end where the hero character, the character you play as, comes in mysteriously just as a pair of shoes, basically, and it's she suddenly gets the willingness to change her life without this character being shown on screen. I'm like, yeah, that's the visual novel integration they did, but mostly it's just a self-contained story about a girl kind of like coping with her mom's death and coping with her dad moving on.
Yeah, and I think I really am pleasantly surprised that that was the primary focus. Like, yeah, obviously they mention or allude to like the main character existing and being around, but it's mostly just her on her own doing her own business, and
Right.
I really appreciate that. I think that's great.
I think it's kind of like the way they integrated it was kind of awkward, though. I will say, because it's like he just steps in and she just suddenly just like, what? I'm willing to talk to my dad now.
Yeah, well, it's because there's a huge time skip, basically. Like, there's that moment where MC meets Rinko, and then it's like a time skip of a few months, basically, and that's the
Oh,
game playing out. And you, as the MC, once you're exploring her route, you kind of encourage her to reconcile with her father, and that's what she goes to do at the end of the manga. Uh,
okay. So I don't think that part was conveyed well because I
No,
think that
it's
it
a
just
little
felt like it was like
confusing.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It's a little. It could have been done a little bit more gracefully, I suppose, but I'd say it works more or less.
You know what really got me about this manga was the fact that like I don't know, like the characters honestly were strangely charming. I felt like it was like one of
Yeah,
those manga that like it's in like I'm sure it was a story that was told 100,000 times, but I just like the way it was done. Like it felt like even if it was by the numbers, just a well told story. I enjoyed it.
it's a very like formulaic concept and story. Like you kind of know how this is gonna end up going. You've seen
Mhm.
it like 1,000 times, but this manga has like 5 characters in it max, and all of them are just like nice and interesting, and I enjoy it whenever they're around and present. So
Mhm.
there was no point where I was like bored, and of course the manga only being like 3 chapters long, I think really helps this, because it is just a very tightly written story overall. Like, what? How long do you think it took you to read this?
I think I literally DM'd you like whenever I started the thing. I think it took me like maybe half an hour.
Yeah, like super quick, super easy. So it really didn't bother me that it had I don't want to say it was like super tropey, but it was like kind of predictable. But
Mhm.
I still enjoyed it, right? There was a lot of cute moments with Rinko and her dad that I enjoyed, and then her like step brother sort of figure that comes in, gets introduced early on, that she spends time with is really adorable and sweet.
Yeah, it was a very cute moment. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
They play that same fighting game together. She has the home version on Xbox
Yeah!
360.
Bro, if I had like an older sister or something where we were just like hanging out in her room while she was playing fighting games, oh, that would be so cool.
Need.
Need.
I feel like honestly, like I usually don't like child characters in like
Yeah,
anime, but
me
honestly,
either.
he was probably my favorite character, honestly.
Yeah, he was just simple, adorable, easy to understand. Wasn't too much of a bother. I figured early on he might be annoying because he's introduced as like the first thing he does is lunge at like this cat who's doing nothing. It's like,
Mm.
oh, is he gonna be like, I don't know, a comic relief character? And it's like, oh no, he's just a regular kid, honestly. Like nothing incredibly annoying going on with him. He's pretty adorable.
Very surprising, honestly. I was expecting it to be him to be like kind of a drag on the thing, but no, he really stood out. Like, oh no, he's actually he's chill like that.
Yeah, it's interesting because in the video game, in the DS game, you only talk to one of the three love interests, right? Like those are the only characters that exist in that whole game.
Mhm.
Everyone else doesn't have a model. You don't really talk to them that much. Can't interact with them.
That's scary.
So all of the other characters in like Rinko's family are kind of alluded to, and she might make mention of them, but you never really know what they're up to, or you never see how they're like or what they look like. And all of that is original just for this manga, and I think they nail it out of the park, honestly, with their characterization.
I think that's probably the best part about the manga, honestly. I'd say like just like the characters, surprising amount of depth for being such a short manga, such a simple story.
Yeah, no, I really related to them. I think it's unique to have a manga about like a family dynamic where it's just like a single dad like raising his daughter and then remarrying. And they
It's not,
explore
yeah, even
that.
though it's a trope, it's not really done much. I feel like anime doesn't do it as much as like American or Western
Yeah,
media.
it's still kind of rare to see, and I like how they went about it this time.
I did want to ask, what did you think about like the pacing? I will say like some part like there's only 3 chapters, right? I think it was a pretty well paced thing. Like no part particularly dragged, but I will say like the time skip felt a little abrupt to me.
Well, yeah, honestly, I feel like that could have easily been fixed with just a simple panel where it's like, oh, 3 months have passed since that day, or whatever.
Yeah.
Because they do just like throw you into it, time jump here, and everything's like magically better all of a sudden. You have no idea what happens.
There's that one, and like there's also the one where she like grows out her hair. That took me a second. I'm like, oh, I guess she's like she. I mean, honestly, that one she's like, oh yeah, I'm in high school. I took the exams or whatever. Like that was not confusing, but it's just like it felt abrupt in terms of like the storytelling. It's like, oh, she's like ran away from home. Like, okay, I thought they're gonna develop that a little bit more. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, there's the time skip where she's just kind of a delinquent for a little while,
Yeah.
not seeing her family, not showing up at home.
She doesn't like nobody. She doesn't like anybody in the world.
She's all alone. No one
She did literally
understands
say that. She literally
her.
said she felt all alone. Like, oh, poor thing.
Poor gamer girl.
What do you think the audience for this like manga is, honestly?
Oh, well, I mean, that's easy. It's like teenage boys.
I guess, yeah.
I mean, that
It's
not
kind of funny, yeah.
necessarily. I'm sure like a bunch of girls totally dig this kind of thing because I really like Rinko as a character, and all of the Love Plus girls are very very adorable. So I could definitely see some like shojo uh elements going on here.
I'm surprised that like I was pleasantly surprised by this, honestly. I was like, because I don't even know what I was expecting from a Love Plus thing, but I don't really, because I have, like I said, no experience with the thing. But I was
Yeah.
expecting to be like, oh, this is like a kind of this like bare minimum, adapts some part of the game, or like has a very basic kind of generic characterization. But like, no, try to tell its own. I feel like the thing that struck out to me about this one is that it had a lot of like heart to it. They really genuinely
Yeah,
cared about the character.
it had a little bit of ambition and heart going on to it, which again pleasantly surprised me because this is the type of thing that definitely could have just been like a cash in, honestly.
Mhm.
right? Where it's like, oh, this is the backstory of Rinko. She's all sad and lonely, and like it's just kind of boring and bland, and doesn't really transform or introduce anything new about her character. But no, they go to great lengths to do that with the time they have,
Mm.
and I have a lot of respect for it as a result. Because it could have been really bland.
Yeah, I don't think they half-assed it. That's my whole thing about
Yeah.
it. They could have full-assed it, honestly. I mean, judging by like just like Fire Emblem's anime adaptation, right? Like people would hate that thing. So I'm like, they could have been like one of those where it's like, oh, this is boring. This is so boring.
Oh yeah, and like people still probably would have eaten it up and liked it, but
Eat your slop, little piggies, little
eat
slop.
your slop. It's the slop time.
Get along, little doggy, get along.
Because if you're like hyper obsessed with Love Plus, you're just gonna get all of the stuff without like really thinking about it or enjoying it. You're just like, oh, I love Rinko, my favorite
Consumption, mindless
character.
consumption, yeah.
Yeah. But no, I think there's a lot of there's a lot of good evidence and suggestion to be invested in this manga isolated from everything else.
Do you
It's pretty
think that
solid.
like there are many manga that like adapt like this, like they're like an adaptation of a game that like are this good? 'Cause I know like for like movies and TV shows, like especially movies, it has a very hard time adapting, but I think manga has at least a better track record.
Yeah, I feel like manga, they probably give the creator a lot of freedom to do whatever they want most times. So while you do get many half-assed adaptations that are just kind of there to be soulless marketing for like the main thing that you want to buy, uh, there's probably a good few of them that are earnest and coming from a place where you can relate to and really enjoy where the artist is coming from.
Mhm. Do you think that like because are there more Love Plus manga? I feel like there probably are like for every character at least.
Yes. Here, let me go down a little bit on my notes. There are a good few Love Plus manga. Now, the interesting thing here is that Rinko is the only character who has a like backstory manga, like a prologue manga,
Mhm.
where it goes into what all she was doing before the events of the game. Uh, Everyone else has basically a very one-to-one adaptation of what happens in the game on their routes.
Oh, okay, okay.
So there's like a mainline Rinko route, there's a Nene route, and there's a Takane route.
Mhm.
And that's pretty much it. I read a little bit of Rinko Days, which is the follow-up to this one, and it was all right, I suppose. I didn't finish it, but I thought it was all right. I didn't remember enjoying it nearly as much as I enjoyed this manga right here. I think I
Mm.
like this one a lot more. But there's that, and I think there is one spin-off manga where it's like all the girls like living together and hanging out, which is another interesting thing about Love Plus is none of the girls like actually know each other, I don't think.
Really?
Yeah, like they have zero interaction with one another outside of like one or two random chance encounters where like you might bump into both of them at the same time if you're walking around, and there's a fun little exchange. But other than that, like there's no indication that these girls are like friends with each other. So
You
I
know, I never thought
imagine.
about it, but that might be typical of like, because like visual novels, right? Like, or not, well, dating sims, right? Like, they usually have it like take place in like in a school setting or somewhere where like you have like exposed to a lot of characters at once.
Mhm.
And it's like at least the ones I'm exposed to, they have them all be in like the same area for character interaction's sake and variety. But there might be like a whole subgenre of ones that's like, yeah, I mean, especially for the dating sims, like the linear ones, it's like, oh, you see one girl at once, you interact with her, you go home, you know interact with a different girl, you know.
Maybe. I don't know if I've seen many instances where each of the main love interests are so isolated from one another. Because I'm looking back at like, oh, Clanat. A lot of the girls are like in the same class or the same club.
Mm.
DDLC is about the literature club, so everyone is like always interacting every day that through that manner. But I think in Love Plus, each of the girls are like in different grades and classes, and they have completely different like extracurricular activities and clubs they go to, so they're just never interacting with each other, which I think is kind of funny.
The way you describe it makes Love Plus seem like a, a void where it's like nobody except one girl at a time, no actual people shown on screen, no activity shown, just you and two DS screens and a dialogue box.
Pretty much. I do love Plus, but yeah, it is. I suppose a little bare bones because
I mean, it's not
it is
bad.
just you and like the three like girls, and that's it. That's all that populates the world effectively.
I guess as long as they put it into the writing, it should be fine.
Yeah, no, it does a good job. It doesn't feel weird when you're playing it, but like
Okay.
on reflection, I think it's kind of funny.
You're just in a box with like one anime girl, like, hi, how's it going?
Pretty much.
What did you think of like? Because I know that what's it called? For people who played the game, I was thinking there was like, oh, there's probably a reference here or there, like her interest, because there's like a part where she like has a guitar in the room and the boy picks it up or whatever, like the part where she plays video games. So how like as a Love Plus fan, are there other references to her like character that like, oh, this is how she got that, like like small little things, or is it mostly just like kind of like just the basic story?
Oh, there are lots of little nods to the actual game. A few that I came up with is early on when Rinko is meeting like with her dad at the restaurant with like the mom and her kid. That's the Western style like 50s diner that Nene's character works in
Mhm.
during the events of the main game, and also the diner that you also end up working in. And that's like the main scene for Nene's route in specific, which I think is kind of funny.
Mhm.
Other than that, that's really it. I mean, like, obviously, Rinko goes to the arcade a lot, and in the game, you spend a lot of the time with her in the arcade, where she's
Oh,
like,
she's a gamer,
yeah, because she's a
a
gamer.
capital G gamer, eat, sleep, game.
Finally, some gamer representation in anime. I love to see it.
Finally, as if that's a brand new thing.
I've been
We did
waiting
it.
for it for years. Well, I mean, like, what this came out in like 2009. If you were like a capital, like if you were like a nerd, if you were a huge nerd at that point, and you see Rinko, you're probably like, oh my gosh, a female
Girl.
gamer,
A girl
a
gamer? Oh
girl
my god.
gamer.
Nowadays they're fucking inundated with them. Like, all right, guys, that would be a girl gamer. Someone's gotta be a girl lawn care person or some shit. I don't know.
I just want to mow.
I just want to mow. I just want to grill.
I just want, you know what? Yeah, I want the anime girl grill. Uh,
Speaking of anime girl grill, like King of the Hill got a new is getting a new season.
King of the Hill.
Yeah, they rebooted King of the Hill with the actual time skip for once.
Oh my gosh, that's kind of
Bo-
interesting,
Bobby's
actually.
gonna be an adult. I think that's gonna be. I think that's one of the few times that a reboot's actually got me excited. Cause I'm like, all right, you know what? The writers are still on there. Mike Judge is still alive. They're actually gonna do something different with it. I'm actually curious on where they go with it. They have a lot of stuff they can cover.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
But
Uh,
I just wanted to mention that because it was topical.
I guess going back to Rinko's archetype, I suppose, and the stuff she's into, she's very much like a tomboy-esque sort of figure, and that's
Mm.
that has a lot of attention drawn to it, notably by her father. It's like, oh, you always act like a boy. You need to be more
Oh
like
yes, that's the first
ladylike.
thing he says to her. That's like the first thing.
Yeah, you need to like, think about getting a boyfriend and all of that. Not like being a hard ass on her, but just kind of like making note of that while she's
Yeah.
around.
I mean,
Uh,
I think it's one of her quirks. Like I noticed that like they did mention that a lot. But every time someone asks that question, I'm thinking like, man, this must be Japanese. I'm like, what if she's gay? What if she's a lesbian? They're like that's not possible. That's not a. I guess it is love plus. It's not love. Female sign. What's that thing called? Like the female T.
Female
the female.
T.
The female symbol. Like
Oh, just like put a little circle over the plus. Make
Yeah.
the female symbol.
Yeah. Have they made a version of it for like, or even opposite gender, like a B shoujo? No, that's shojo. Like the one, yeah, the male version of Love Plus, or is it just like girl?
I don't think so, but we were talking about Tokimeki Memorial earlier, and I do know
Mhm.
that there's like a female spin-off of Tokimeki Memorial that I think has
Ooh,
outlived the original series, honestly. So
that's
apparently they
pretty
get pretty
funny.
popular.
You know what? Honestly, girls rule the world.
Yeah.
Yaoi. Yaoi is the thing that keeps series alive. Have you ever seen Gundam? Yeah, that's why.
Gundam Yaoi.
Yeah. Was it Gundam or was it Macross? One of those ones where like, oh, like the fan base like kept it alive because they were so passionate about like no, because that Char. I remember Char was in the dudes like they're like shipping him. Like like they're like, oh yeah, Gundam fans, like they're so insane that it kept the series like kept the series alive because of just the sheer popularity of like the male shipping that the female fan base had.
Really? Okay, so we're talking about like old school Yaoi heads. That's quite
Yeah,
fascinating.
this is like the same thing as like Spock and whatever in Star Trek. Like they like old school like fandoms were serious. They used to write fucking letters and shit, like get stamps of approval,
Gosh,
go to
I
conventions.
kind of miss that, honestly. It sounds
We should
fun.
do AnyCon, but you get a stamp of approval for the right shipping.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so I brought up Rinko's dad for a minute. What are your thoughts generally on Rinko's dad and how he's portrayed throughout the story?
You know, honestly, Rinko's because like I said, there's no bad characters here. I think that it's like a you know, that's pretty simple to say. There's no bad characters. I don't think there's enough time for them to have a character that pisses me off like that much.
Yeah.
But then again, it's a manga, so you know, My Hero Academia's done it. But anyway, the dad I think is interesting because he has a typical he doesn't have time for his daughter, he's at his job all the time plot, but like the idea of him trying to like obviously the plot line of him going and trying to move on with the relationship is you know slightly unique, depending on you know where you're coming from, but especially the way he does it is unique because he's like you know he tries to push it off as much as he can. He's like, well, I was gonna tell you, I kind of wanted to save it for later, because he's like, you know, he loves like this woman. He wants to get married to her. Like basically as soon as we meet her, he's like, oh yeah, we're getting married, right? It's kind of like
Hmm.
shocking, but they clearly have a very like you know well balanced relationship. Like they clearly like have their shit together. That's the main thing that got me. So I'm like, for him being as like you know as workaholic as he is, just for his productions or whatever, like he actually does have a shit together rationally.
Oh, yeah, like he's super considerate of like Rinko's feelings for the most part. I guess it's. Can we get into spoilers? I
Sure, yeah,
suppose. Yeah,
we might as well spoil the whole thing. Yeah,
yeah, we get into spoilers.
it's three
So,
chapters.
I mean, yeah, it's 3 chapters. I was surprised that like a year passes like in the time skip, and he still like holds off on marrying like the mom like specifically because of Rinko's out of consideration of Rinko's feelings, and I'm like, wow, that's like kind of cool. That he's being like so patient with her like that, and being understanding when she's like being kind of rowdy, honestly.
I mean,
But
he's
he's just
trying.
like
I
a good
think
dad.
yeah, he's trying his best. That's like I love whenever characters are trying their best. You can just tell they're trying their best. You know,
Yeah, for
it's like
sure. Not
and
perfect, but like pretty. Otherwise, has it mostly together and is just trying hard.
I think chapter two literally ends with like it's really no one's fault, but like Rinko still feels very strongly about her mother feeling left behind. You know, feeling like her mother's left behind in this relationship, new relationship. You know.
Yeah, well, because the whole like inciting incident was like, the mom and the kid come over to like spend time with everyone, and the portrait of Rinko's mom is like not in the living room anymore, and she kind of freaks out a little bit about that. But I mean, we find out at the end is because the photo got moved to like his bedroom instead.
Yeah,
And he like,
I
oh,
guess
he
it could have
didn't
been cleared up
actually like
earlier.
forget about her or whatnot.
It could have been cleared up earlier, but it's not like one of those things that feels like, oh, they should have done that. It's like a stupid contrivance. Like it's like no, it's like it didn't really need to be explained. It's like they probably forgot. It's not like a big deal, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like given how much the dad puts stuff off, I think it's fine. It's not like stupid or whatever. It's just a
Honestly, that's probably
misunderstanding.
his character traits kind of him just being kind of like a fucking. Honestly, I do like the way they portrayed his like change because he's like a slob before he's like, ah, yeah, you know, I don't feel like doing this. Ah, I did it around to it. Ah, I got work today, and then he's like, oh, we gotta clean up the house. We gotta make everything look good. We gotta make everything
Yeah, there's
spotless.
like a noticeable improvement going on with him after meeting his new partner, and Rinko starts to see that and kind of appreciate where everyone's coming from.
I honestly like their relationship because it just makes them like they do genuinely feel like they're making each other better. You know.
Yeah, yeah, lots of self improvement of each other, and all that. It's really sweet to see. One thing that I thought was a nice little treat was you do actually get to see Rinko's mother like right at the end,
Oh
because
yeah, they like set it up. Yeah.
what everyone's talking about the photograph of her, they do like the anime thing where there's like a convenient glare that obscures her face
Yeah.
whenever they're like talking and holding the photograph. But like right at the end, they're talking about the photograph again. It's like, oh, I moved it to my room. I never forgot about her. I still love your mother and all that. You get to see it, and it's like, oh, it looks exactly like Rinko. And it's like, oh, that's cute and sweet. I love that.
What
Uh,
shocked me honestly is that like they didn't like they only kind of implied the way the mother died. I'm like, I guess like I'm thinking like I guess they don't really need to say it because like who cares, you know? It's just like it doesn't really matter at this point.
I was kind of a little bit shocked at just like this small little seeds about like Rinko's mom and her father's relationship with her.
Mm.
Because he says like right at the end that the dad was like out of the country or away on business when she died, and that like fucked him up on an immense level apparently, which like
Mm.
yeah, no kidding, Jesus.
So I guess it's like yeah, in retrospect we see like him overworking as a coping mechanism.
Yeah, and that's why he's like kind of a slob and messy, and he's like not home all the time, is because he is just like kind of a wreck, low key.
Yeah.
And him like getting together with someone is pulling him out of that rut effectively.
It's honestly makes me respect him more in retrospect.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
He probably like, the I'd say like there are not many anime dads that feel as good as he was trying. Like I feel like there's a lot of ones that just kind of like are half-assing their shit or just aren't there or like are ass dads, terrible dads. Um, what was that one anime Baki? You talked. Was it someone who showed us a clip of Baki where it's like they're eating like imaginary
Oh my
ramen or some
god, yeah, that's Baki's
shit?
dad right at the end of
That
that
was like,
series.
wow, what a great father-son relationship. Wow.
This is after them fighting to the death.
It could have ended like that. If this manga ended like they're eating invisible ramen, would that be the worst ending?
If Rinko was eating invisible ramen with her dad, you know what? I would have to give this a perfect 10, I think. That would be the best ending ever.
What honestly, so what do you think the could have been improved on? Because I think whenever it comes to like ones that are this short, like it's hard to answer that question. But I kind of want to think about it because it's like an interesting question to ask. I don't have any like gigantic flaws with it. It's just like, but I think there's probably something if we brainstorm, there's a way to improve it, right?
Man, I legitimately I don't want to say this manga is perfect, but like it's so like tightly well crafted, right? To
Mm,
where like I wouldn't want to tinker around with much of anything. The only thing that I would change is like have a lot more stronger implication of a time skip happening.
mm,
And that could be fixed with just like a really simple dialogue panel or whatever to be like, oh, this much time has passed since then,
mm.
because it does make things a little bit confusing. But otherwise, I had a really good time with this manga. It's very easy to read, very simple, short story. Yeah, and I don't think I'd change anything like fundamentally about the narrative or any of the characters.
The only thing I would change, I mean, aside from yeah, saying like pacing issue or whatever with the with the time skip, would probably be like the mother's role in the story doesn't feel as strong as it should be. Like for the father, like it doesn't. They don't. I don't think they portrayed as well as they could. Like not only because he feels like his life is improved like drastically by her presence, but it doesn't feel like the other way around as much. And like her relationship with Renko doesn't feel as strong as it should be, right? Because like I think it felt like I didn't think that she like had a bad relationship with her, but it felt like she was kind of like they never had that moment where I felt like oh they like got along, they both recovered, she accepts her as her new mother. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Um there is distinctly not any one moment where those two characters are alone together and having a conversation. And I do feel like the inclusion of that definitely would have elevated this story by a significant amount, I'd say. I think that's important, right?
Yeah,
Because right at the end, you have that moment where Rinko's like pinning up all her new photos with her like stepmom and stepbrother, and like having a fun time. But that's never like explored. It's just kind of something that's suggested at the end, which very
yeah.
sweet. I love that little those few pages where it's just like all those cute photographs they have together now, making new memories. But I
It's not
get what you
necessarily
mean.
like an issue. It's not necessarily, I think it's more like a change in direction I would make if I would run the story, but then I'd like, having that would either lengthen the story or change something else. But in the case of like this, I think that, the relationship between, even any kind of step parent and their, like their previous marriage's kid, like that's like an underutilized like thing in like anime in particular, right? Because,
No,
you know,
absolutely, I agree.
so I think they could have had a really powerful moment in there if they had like, her really just like, letting loose and just like talking to her about like, talking to each other about like the relationship that she had with her mother. So I think that like that's more of a missed opportunity. That's the more thing. I don't think it's the story's worse off. I think the story could have been better if it had that moment, you know?
It would have been nice. I'd say
Yeah.
if they just added like an extra chapter, I guess in between chapter 3 and 4, where it's Rinko and the stepmom interacting with each other, I would have really appreciated that. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's where I am. I think everyone else's role is pretty much, I wouldn't really need to change a thing. And like I said, I like the kid's role. He just like is just a very nice character. I want to just shout him out again because I was like, again, I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, shout out to him. He's just cool. I like him. Not annoying.
We need more not annoying kids in anime, honestly.
Let's see. I know I kind of talked about this before, where in the context of the video game, the world is functionally just populated by you and like the three girls you're talking to.
Mm.
Meaning you don't actually get to see the emotional payoffs of like a lot of these characters. Because like you'll go on a date with them, you'll have a good time, and you'll be like, "All right, Rinko, I had a good time with you today. Bye bye." And that's like what gives her the courage to like talk to her dad after she goes home and leaves you. So like you aren't
Mm.
around to experience that emotional payoff, and she'll come back to you the next day like, "Oh yeah, I fixed stuff with my dad."
Is that
So
how it's in the game? Like it just kind of just tell you off screen?
yeah, it just kind of tells you off screen, or she talks about it kind of offhandedly. So I think it
Mm.
really is meaningful, and it kind of completes Rinko's character. To have that moment where it's like, oh, this is the conversation she has with her dad, like right after you meet her in the game.
Oh, it's implied like in the game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
So like
implied because you don't
I
see her
like that.
dad or her step family or anything.
I like that it fills in the blanks. I think like any kind of spin-off is like much like any kind of spin-off, if there's a single part not covered in the main series that's implied, like filling in the blanks is almost always a winning formula. There's basically a never a way to go wrong because you have the basis for it and you also have like a way to expand on it, you know?
Absolutely, absolutely. It definitely justifies its own existence in a good way, I'd say.
You said that's the only one that's like that though, right? Because it's like the other ones are kind of just like retellings.
Yeah, pretty much, pretty much.
That's because the retellings are the ones I was kind of worried about. Like, yeah, if it just covers a story, but like in a manga form, but it doesn't have like the the mediums, like, because if it's the game story is designed for consumption through a DS screen, right?
Hmm.
DS like medium, going through and working through the gameplay. It's just inherently a different way of experiencing, right? So it's like, all right, what if I, watch this play, but it's only in text form, right? It's like, okay, it could be still well written, but it's like not for the medium.
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree. It's not like it's not the story in its original context, right?
Yeah.
So and like I said, I don't remember being super impressed by the like Rinko's adaptation of her arc in that game
Hmm.
in its manga form. Not to say it's bad, it's just I appreciated this far more by
Yeah.
comparison.
What
Um,
so honestly, I want to mention that like this is a pretty good adaptation because I wasn't interested in Love Plus at all before, but honestly, if the characters are this charming generally, I might consider giving it a chance. Honestly,
Yeah, I definitely am interested in reading the other manga, because they do seem like they could be good and interesting. Just
Hmm.
because I like the events of the game and having that in manga form, like probably still would be entertaining. I mean, MC is given like an actual character and name and personality. I think
Hmm.
so. If anything, it's a good sort of what if story, I suppose.
Honestly, like how many romance manga have you read?
Oh, romance manga in
Yeah.
particular? I
Yeah. 'Cause I know anime, you kind of like, how big on romance anime. You have a good number of them under your belt,
I've
but
played lots
manga
of
specifically.
visual novels, I've watched lots of romance anime. This might be my only romance manga that I've read.
Interesting, interesting. Because I remember after I read this, I had a couple minutes before the library closed, and maybe like a half an hour, and I checked out another like a Yuri manga or whatever, and I was comparing and contrasting. I'm like, even directly behind the back of another romance one I considered pretty solid. I like it. It's just like this one stands up on its own. I think like as a because the main thing about adaptations, right? Like for me, there's two types of adaptations where it's like there are two goals of adaptations, right? Like two like types of goals. There's the one where it's like fan service, usually like the Dragon Ball type of ones where it's like, all right, stuff as much fan service in there as possible, let the fans be happy. And then there's like ones that are like, oh, this is good by itself, right? This is like good as a single-handed thing. And fan service or not, right?
Mhm,
Um,
mhm.
so like I guess a little bit of like I didn't watch too much of Andor after we watched it that one time, but like that dips it into both, but like it dips more into the standalone category because it's not focused on fan service as much as a lot of other Star Wars related media is, right?
Mhm, mhm.
So like spin-offs, like adaptations, like stuff like that. So I think like considering this one, you said it wasn't really like too much in like the fan service department. It's kind of meant to be a standalone thing. I kind of do appreciate that like direction to go into, even like considering like how much, you know, I guess how much text they had to base it off of. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I appreciate how most of it is just original, right? Like all of Rinko's like issues with her dad and stuff are very very much just suggested at and implied. So, and this manga kind of bridges that gap and explores pretty much everything presumably with a lot of liberty. Uh because again a lot of these characters are just original specifically to this manga, and I think they do a really good job of injecting them into the overall world and making it feel a little bit more real.
So for shonen heads out there, the equivalent of this is like, what if Naruto filler was good? That's the best way to
Yeah,
describe it.
pretty much, pretty much.
Hmm. Do you think they'd be good at Konoha? Do you think any of these do you think Rinko would be a good ninja?
I feel like Rinko would be a very good ninja, yes.
Why do you think that?
Well, because she's good at fighting games.
Oh yeah, you're right. So she'd be good at the hand signs.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like she has a lot more capacity to be a ninja and use like ninjutsu more than either Takane or Nene could. That's my little
Mm.
head canon.
We gotta do like a ninja rating of every character in every fucking manga. Like how good would they be? It's like how would they be good at a ninja? How good at ninjutsu would they be?
Rinko could definitely pass the Chunin exams. Is where I'm
Whoa.
at.
Whoa, you are betting you're putting all your dice down. Okay, okay. You're gonna go all in on that? Like I'm saying Rinko will pass the tuning exams.
It
All in 100%
it's
of
the
my money.
Chunin exams. That's like graduating middle school in Ninja World. Like, yeah, you could
Yeah,
probably
but
pass the
like
Chunin
the fucking shit that
exams.
Rock Lee did, you gotta remember that's not we're not talking about the ninja exams, but the tuning exams.
Oh, are those different things?
Yeah, the regular ninja exam is just like you like using a shadow clone, taking the test, all this stuff. The tuning exam is the one where they fucking had like these kids busting their ass. Rock Lee going fucking 8 gates, breaking all of his bones and shit.
I still think Rico. I don't think she would win, but I think she would last pretty long.
You know what?
She could probably beat Hinata.
Fair enough. I appreciate you're going hard in this. I appreciate the fact that you will back it up. Don't fight back, fight back. I think it's pretty funny. Let me look at another one of my notes because oh yeah, I put down this. I didn't take many notes, but I put down old hairstyle was better, and I do agree with that. The old hairstyle was better.
I do agree. I like Rinko's character design in her like past version where she has the longer hair. She's got the cool little like tie school uniform and all of that. Definitely her new hair is iconic, and that's what you see in the game. But I like both, but the long hair is pretty good.
Yeah, I feel like whenever she cut it off, I'm like, yeah, you're going through something because like I can't agree with that hairstyle change. I'm not gonna lie to you, it's
Ah,
substantially worse. It's like a B tier versus an A tier.
oh, it's too
Yeah,
bad.
I'm like, I fucked her shit up.
Just fuck me up, fam.
It's not that bad, but yeah, no, it's like I'm like this is a substantial downgrade. But then again, I'm like, I'm allergic to any of those. Like, was it like what's it called? Non-symmetrical? Was it asymmetrical?
Oh, asymmetrical, yeah.
Yeah, it's probably like any kind of asymmetrical hair. I'm like, I don't know, I don't know.
I kind of dig it. The asymmetrical short hair makes her
Mm,
distinctive from the other girls, and that's probably why they went with it. But fair enough, fair enough.
okay,
Uh,
because I'm out of notes for my side. Are you? How many you got? Any more?
I have like maybe two-ish more.
Okay.
Uh, Maple, what
Hmm.
score would you give this?
Score
Mm-hmm.
out of 10.
Yeah, we can do out of 10.
Okay, I'm thinking like a 7.5, and the point five is particular because because my rating scale, right? Let's say 10 is a Chainsaw Man, and like I don't go. I let's say I could go down to zero. Like a zero would be like fucking like what's that fucking one manga I read that one time? That was like I don't even read that many bad manga. I think the like a 5 out of 10 would be like the worst parts of MHA that I've read already.
Yeah.
I don't have a very wide range of manga that I read. I can't name just random Yuri. Can't just drop that shit. But I'd probably say 7.5 specifically because like it has a good like you know, flat line of quality, right? So, it told a story, but it was very short, but it told a story well. It did it quickly. It did well, good characters. There was no point where I was like, I got a little emotional at the end, but it wasn't like had me fucking bawling, reevaluating my life. I was like, no, that was nice. I had a very pleasant time. And I don't think I had any large issues. The only issues were like, kind of nitpicky ones. But to go to an 8 means like, oh, it's a great, solid, amazing. I'm like, I can't say that because like it just doesn't have like it's like this is very good. I'd say like 7.5 is like very good, but
Yeah.
it doesn't have the thing to like push it over where it's like, oh man, this was like a dynamic manga. This was like a manga that inspired me. Like, this is like something I read. And I'm like, it was inspired me by the fact that like it's like, I'll remember a plot line from this. I'll remember this from that. But it's like, it's by the numbers, but like in a good way. It's like if you got it, I would not be disappointed. It's like something you could love if you like the series and you could love like just because of like memories with it. But it's not something I just go out and say, all right, you have to read this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I'm about with you. I rated this a 7 out of 10. If I
Mm,
put decimals in it, it'd probably be like a 7.5.
mm.
So I'm the same page with you. It understands the assignments and it goes above and beyond where it honestly really needed to. And because of that, I have a lot of appreciation and respect.
Mm.
Absolutely, this is something I recommend because it's just such a short read. Like, why
That's
not?
true.
Like,
That
might
is
as well
true.
read it. Like, it's just very good, casual. If you have an afternoon where you don't have anything going on, check it out. It'll be an
Yeah, there's
enjoyable
nothing wrong with
time.
it. Yeah.
If you're a Love Plus fan to like any degree, honestly, absolutely check this out. That's assigned reading for sure.
It's the Annie chords in your topsters.
Yeah, I mean, like, it has a lot of like important shit for Rinko's character that you just don't know about if you play the game. So if you like Rinko a little bit, like, yeah, no, this is important.
It's
Or
in your
Love
three by
Plus.
three now.
Not my 3 by 3.
Okay, yeah, I think that. Yeah, I think that's a pretty solid score. I don't feel regret. I think, yeah, since it is so short, I could recommend it. Like if it was, you know, I think recommending thing you could have a high score for something and not recommend it, or you can have a low score for something and you'd recommend it. That's like a thing I have the opinion of. So I'm like I would say I recommend it if you just you know are kind of just like looking for something short to just burst through in a like a 30 minute maybe an hour. That's pretty much my recommendation.
Yeah, like it's so inoffensive. It's so short. Like again, might as well. It does not take any time to just blast through.
It's almost cute in how it just like tells it really is like it tells a story. It has no like it's very genuine. This is like what I mean by I just love whenever things are genuine. They just don't like even if you have tropes and shit, like I can enjoy that. Like I haven't seen every trope all the time, all around. And even if I have, it's I just feel happy at the end of reading this.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be like super deep or go crazy or make you cry. I got to the end of it and I was like, this is nice. I enjoyed this.
Yeah, that's pretty much all a manga needs to be sometime. I think this is actually a pretty good place to start in terms of like a manga review show because it's like mildly obscure firstly, and then we have kind of this like we don't come in with really like high lofty expectations.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know how I would do like a first episode if we were talking about Berserk or something.
I feel like Berserk is something you have to like. A first episode of Berserk, like a first episode, like that's Berserk only works when you're like that old dude who's like observing anime for the first time. He's like, Griffith is the worst being I have ever. He's like making a speech about. I'm like, yeah, you earned the right by default to talk about Berserk. But if you're doing a manga review show, that's like you have to work your way up to that shit. You know what I mean?
Oh no, absolutely. Got to work your way up to it. Starting simple, I'd say this is a good idea because we were
Yeah,
originally going to do Queen's Blade, which
yeah,
we'll probably be doing next week, and that's a little
yeah.
bit longer, and there's a little bit more to sink our teeth into in regards to that.
I'm
But
excited. I'm excited for Queen's Blade.
yeah, no, me too. From what I've read one volume so far, and I love it, honestly. It's really fun.
I'm liking it right now. I am liking it right now. I will say, Queen's Blade is gonna be an interesting one, but only because substantially longer than this by like a lot, like 12, 13, 14 chapters versus like three. It's also like a fact that like tonally it's a lot different and like there's a lot of like more characters. So it's like, we'll have a lot more to chew on in terms of like because Queen's Blade, I also have no experience in terms of like the what it's adapting,
Mhm,
so you
mhm.
might be able to give me more background on that. Love Plus is kind of like cut and dry. Like okay, it's a dating sim. You kind of get like the gist of it by just looking at like a screenshot.
Oh, absolutely. There is a lot I could talk about with Queen's Blade, but getting back to Rinko for a few more minutes. We're
A
wrapping this
wee bit
up a
longer. A
wee bit
wee bit longer.
longer. Okay, so as you might have picked up from the manga, Rinko's like a huge music person.
Mhm.
I don't know if she talks about it specifically, but like in the game, she really loves like Western culture and Western music specifically, which
Mhm.
makes me want to ask you, Maple, what bands do you think she's obsessed with?
Radiohead. I knew that
Radiohead?
well, before you even asked the question. I was thinking like, yeah, no. The way she's teenager who is depressed from a family divorce, she's probably listening to Radiohead in those headphones every day. Like listening to like surprise. Like, oh my god, like she's walking around depressed and like sinking in. It's like she's like she's Japanese, right? So she's like she's like barely understands what like the British dude's saying, but she's like, but she feels it. She feels it. God damn it.
God, she's doing a Shinji. She does the
Yeah,
Shinji thing.
I think that's whenever she's like the well honestly when she's younger I can't even imagine her listening to like music for like that long. I could because she's like just doing her, she's like whenever you're younger I feel like the younger you are the less you are like into music as like bands, it's in music as songs, you know what I mean.
Yeah, and I
She
can see
probably
that.
like she probably like one or two specific, she probably like what's it called, um like those pop artists from like 20 what no wait like, yeah 2010s pop artists, like they like the Lord. I feel like she's like I don't know whoever the Japanese equivalent of Lord is, it's like royals.
Oh no no no! I get where you're coming from. I can see that too.
Yeah, that's like pre-time skip. Post-time skip, yeah, like definitely like Radiohead or whatever, the Smiths. Oh yeah, a lot of those. She mentioned like this one band like it's called like Dead Bambi or something. I'm like,
Yeah.
that has to be like a alt rock band or something, or like metal. Like that has to be like something harder.
Oh no, she definitely loves metal and rock, specifically, from what I can recall.
There's this band called what's it called, Boris, that's kind of like what's it called, they've been around for around 30 or so years, and they're kind of metal shoegazy, very like thick guitars, a lot of like
Ooh.
grungy sounding stuff, like a lot of like screechy guitars. I think she liked them. I like whatever Bochi the Rock plays, but like a little bit more, a little less poppy, a little bit less.
I got you. I got you.
I think I get that, yeah.
So Maple,
Hmm.
would you be interested in reading like the rest of the Love Plus manga?
Only the original ones. What's it called? So this one is good by itself. I think the other ones that recap the story, I just play the game. I think it just like I don't think there's a case where that would be like a good replacement for the story.
Yeah.
Probably wouldn't make any sense. The one that's original, like the other one that's like you said, that's like they're just hanging out in the house.
Yeah, that one seems interesting. I do want to check that one out.
I debatably, but I think like if I ever do like play Love Plus and I kind of get context for like the game itself, then that'd be like the time to do it. So I guess like that would be like a pin in it thing. But for now, I think this is probably like the one I'm like, okay, this is the one I'm good exposed to. I'm like, I don't want to just like have this one be good and just like go and say, all right, I'm gonna fuck it all up and have this like have the worst recap of Love Plus of all time.
Oh no, absolutely. So you'd be down for playing the DS game?
Yeah, I think I've what's it called? I mean, you could do anything with an R4 card, am I right? But I mean, like Love Plus. The issue is that as a genre, I'm terrible at dating sims, and I get bored really easily. But honestly,
Um.
I'm just like the thing about it is that if it's like one of those ones is like it's an easier one, right? It's like it doesn't like do a lot of hard gates or okay, you can't progress if you don't have this stat by this date, right? It's not like
Oh,
you
yeah,
know.
like technically there's a lose condition where you can get to like 100 days in game, and if you haven't gotten anyone yet, you're just kind of like donezo. But like it's
Yeah.
really hard. Like you don't even really have to be trying that hard, and at least one of the girls is going to be interested in you enough to like confess by day 60 or
They'll just
whatever.
get bored at that point.
Yeah, so you could really drag it out if you're just actively picking all the worst options and like I don't know, you walk up to each girl and you just flick him really hard in the head and walk off.
Honestly, I am looking at the no, it's not the manga. Ignore it. The Mal page and looking at all of the like other Love Plus adaptations, and the highest rated one is the Rinko Days one. I'm like, is Rinko like the most beloved character in it?
Man, well, it's interesting you say that because Rinko is the only girl who has the prequel manga. Everyone
Mm.
else just has the adaptation. Um,
Mm.
maybe it's one of those things where like in Japan she's probably like the most popular.
Hmm.
Which I guess it makes sense. She's like the gamer and all of that. Because
To be
Takane,
fair, to be
yeah.
fair, we can't really judge by like other countries because like it was never released in any other country.
Oh, that's true. That's true. So, Takane's like the sporty tennis girl who's like cool and silent, kind of like Rei Ayanami, like the kudere type, and then
Hmm.
Nene's the mom, basically. She's just like the mature
Uh,
girl.
mommy Awuk. I can't say that because we're like fucking three.
Yeah.
Never mind. I can't say Awuga. Sorry, I take it back. Inhale. Sorry. But I don't know. I think that if anything, like I said, it wasn't on my radar before. I really was like not trying to think about Love Plus other than just like that one funny story about that one dude. But honestly, I I'm a little tempted. Not very. I'd say like it's like it went from a pretty much like a 1% chance, like okay, a 10%. You know, I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I if I ever am in a situation where I'm playing Love Plus or something in a set of just games I'm just playing randomly, I'm like, you know what? I wouldn't be opposed. I'm more open minded than I was. That's my main thing.
I got you. I got you. No, I'd highly recommend the game. Like out of all the dating sims I've played, it's probably my favorite. Like it's so easy to lock down a playthrough for, to where it's like, oh, I'll beat the game like once or twice a year, basically. Like
Right.
it's just really easy to jump into and jump out of.
This is your version of like Cave Story where I could just play it like nonstop. It's like
Yeah, pretty
yeah.
much. Pretty much.
Okay. It's your comfort game of
It
sorts.
really is. There's like it's just very minimal gameplay, but you still got to kind of think about it. It's very fun if you just want to like waste 15 minutes.
If anyone's listening to this and they want to get high and play Love Plus with me, here's my number.
Yeah, put your phone number on the screen.
Oh god, I don't know. I think like I don't now I get why you like Love Plus so much. That's the main thing.
Yeah, I'm glad you see where I'm coming from. I'm glad you see where I'm coming from. Me spreading my Rinko propaganda to everyone, to all to see.
Was that the main goal here? Was that your like propaganda?
Actually, Takane is the girl I usually go for, but Riko's cool.
Wow.
She was like because what happens when you play the game is it's randomly decided which girl you bump into first. So I got Rinko for my first playthrough, and that really easily sets her up to be the love interest
Right.
for that playthrough. So I ended up exploring her character the most, and it really endeared me to her. But nah, I prefer Takane.
I mean, she just seems, I don't know. I think Rinko, judging by what I'm seeing, what you're describing to me, seems like the most interesting character as like a narrative standpoint.
Absolutely, there is like there's conflict in her life that she needs to overcome, and that by on its own makes her inherently a little bit more interesting than the other girls, I'd say.
Oh, by the way, I'm reading her page on like her the fandom wiki or whatever,
Hmm.
and it says what her interests are reading music, Western music, specifically London punk. First of all, London punk. What a specific subgenre.
London
Second of
punk.
all, I was right. Radiohead, because
Right?
Radiohead is
Yeah,
like Radiohead's a UK
you
band,
got
and
it.
they sometimes play like punk, but I mean, like it's not all off the grid. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
He liked the fucking Sex Pistols and like shit like that. It's trying to be funny.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
That clears up all of the notes I have, Maple. Do you have any final
okay.
closing thoughts?
Well, final closing thoughts is that Konami needs to port Love Plus to something besides. Oh, actually, closing thoughts. I read the Wikipedia page on Love Plus. Apparently, there's a sequel called New Love Plus on
Yes.
3DS, and there's an updated version. Guess what's called? New Love Plus Plus. So I just wanted to mention that because I thought it was really funny.
Yeah, there's a few other games. There's another game on the DS which is like the expanded version where like you can go on vacations and like more date spots with the girls, that came out a year
Oh
after
wait,
the
it's
year.
Love Plus Plus.
Yeah, Love Plus
What the
Plus.
fuck? How many love? So technically the 3DS version could be called Love Plus Plus Plus. And then
Yeah.
the new 3D, the other version could be called Love Plus 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 Plus. What were
I
they thinking?
what were they thinking? I think there's also a phone game. That might be like the newest one they have, but I don't think it's possible to access that. It might be not even be on Japanese app stores anymore.
Oh my! If Konami wasn't fucking around, they'd. You do you know how much Mystic Messenger made over here? Like, if they weren't fucking around, they'd have people on their fucking knees for new Love Plus stuff. But no, they just fuck. They don't got nothing, nothing.
Yeah, I'm here for it. The second Konami's like, hey, we're gonna have like we're gonna make a new Love Plus game on like PC or whatever the hell. I'm totally here for it.
Hey, you already know. If they port that shit to PC, then I might go and just say check it out.
Yeah. Whatever needs to happen for it to get brought over here and translated. Put that on, I don't know, Nintendo Switch, PS4, PS5 is what people play now.
Oh man, you must be like really like desperate for this because you said Nintendo Switch. You hate that console. It's for baby.
Yeah, I don't like the Nintendo Switch, but if a new Love Plus game was on it, maybe I'd think about getting one.
The Nintendo shit cube, huh?
The Nintendo shit cube.
But that's all my notes, so I think that's all I have to say, really.
Maple, you released a new album recently, didn't you?
I
You
did.
want to
I
plug
did.
that? You want to plug all your
I might as well.
socials?
I might as well, because it's a good album. It's the first album I say that's like, oh, this is actually a fucking great album. I mean, I said that last time, but then I looked back and I'm like, oh, well, that one isn't as good as I thought it was. But yeah, my album is called Amen Brother. That is Amen, uh, comma, space, brother, exclamation point. And it's a nearly hour long hip hop album with production all by me, including one feature with my friend stage name Yakisoba. Very good song we made there. But yeah, the beats are very, very great because I made them, and I'm really good at making beats. Worked on it for about a year and a half. Probably the best thing I've made. I think at this point probably my magnum opus in terms of creative projects. So if you are into albums, music, hip hop, check it out. And it was recently featured on Bandcamp's what's it called? Bandcamp's hip hop show. This week's Bandcamp hip hop show, which I was very excited for. I thought that was really cool.
Oh, ain't that nice?
Yeah, it was one of my tracks. It was Awake at 3 a.m. The one I previewed before. It's like the single. I think you
Yeah,
listen to that one. Yeah, you listen to that one.
I was listening to the album a few days ago, just kind of in the background while I was doing stuff, probably drawing,
Hmm.
and no, it was really good. I really like your style of music. I enjoyed the last album you did, but this one definitely I think set a new standard for the
Thank
game.
you. Thank you. I know it's not in your genre typically, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'll put a bunch of links for it in the description or something. But yeah, that's all I have.
Available on Bandcamp and YouTube and I guess SoundCloud, but fuck
Mm-hmm.
SoundCloud. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, well, thank you for being on my first little episode for this a little series we got going
What's
on.
it called again? What's it called? What's the
It's
name?
called Panel Pals.
Yay! Yippee! We got a
Yay!
name. A really nice
Make
name.
sure to tune into the next episode coming out next week. I don't want to establish I don't want to establish the
No
hopes of there
schedule.
being like a weekly schedule, but
There is no schedule. I had to cut that shit like immediately when I made my podcast. I'm like, listen, this podcast comes out when it comes out, and it comes out basically once a year, right? So I'm saying maybe your one might come out more often, but I'm saying I would never establish a schedule because unless I'm doing this as a job, there's no reason to establish one.
yeah, well, we'll see how this goes. I know for sure I've at least got a few episodes already kind of in the kitchen cooking. But yeah, definitely
But,
not a weekly release. It
but
gets done
as
when it gets
far
done.
as far as we know, next one will be recorded next week, and it'll be about Queensblade, which we are both reading. So get excited for that because I think Queensblade is a very interesting manga and an interesting series. I'm excited to cover that one.
Yeah, yeah. All right, bye-bye, guys. Make sure to tune in next time. Love you all.
Bye, bye.
Bye.